And we're here today via Skype with Jesse McConnell, CEO of Rubicon Organics. How are you doing today, my good man?
I am great. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and thanks for taking the time on the West Coast. It's quite early in the morning, so thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a beautiful day here, so great to be out here and to be talking to you and your audience.
Absolutely. So, for somebody who has never heard of Rubicon Organics before, can you give us the elevator pitch of who you are and what you're planning on doing in the Canadian cannabis market?
Well, we are an international cannabis company focused on the development of super premium organic cannabis brands. So we're 100% organic in everything that we do, whether that's at our facilities in the US or our facilities in Canada.
And you actually, I was just going through some notes about your company. You actually have a rather large facility out in BC, I believe. Can you let us know about what kind of capacity you're looking into, whether it's current or what you're about to build out to?
Yeah, we've got two facilities. We're up and down the West Coast, but our major facility is in Delta, British Columbia. It's a 125,000 square foot asset there that we've been retrofitting for the last year and a half. And it's less of a greenhouse and more of an indoor production facility with a glass roof is probably the best way to think about it. So you can truly grow a high quality premium product out of that facility. It's going to be 100% certified organic production coming out of there. And then about 45 minutes south, we own another wholly owned asset, which is a brand new 40,000 square foot Thomas Larssen designed greenhouse. In fact, one of the first greenhouses that Thomas Larssen built for cannabis. And between those two facilities, we'll have total production of around 15,500 kilograms a year.
Yeah, Thomas Larssen, is that the same Larssen with that has gone over to Aurora, like that Larssen name?
That's exactly the same fellow.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and they've actually been doing. They did Aurora Sky, some other really big projects. I think the T-God as well. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's a good builder. And you said you're 100% organic, because I know a lot of people who are out there, they'll do 5% or 10% of their crop. That one facility out in Delta, BC, that's 100% organic.
You know, our focus is on being the best certified organic cannabis cultivator in the world. So if you look at I was co-founder of Whistler, which was the first certified organic cannabis facility, federally legal certified organic cannabis facility in the world. And the co-founder of Rubicon was contracted to write the certified organic standard for cannabis in Canada. So for us, it's not about partial hydroponic production and partial organic production. What we've been able to achieve over the last 5 or 6 years in our pilot scale facilities has been an extremely high yielding organic system that is as good or better when it comes to yields versus conventional production, and getting those really full terpene profiles and that truly high quality organic product. So for us, it's 100% organic all the way.
Very nice. Well, that actually somewhat leads into a question that we always turn to our investors to ask, what do they want to know about a company, especially the ones who've been following you for a really long time. And one of our investors asked, will the full 1964 genetics library be available in Canada? If not, where would you be sourcing your genetics?
Well, actually, we strategically look to be licensed under the Cannabis Act as opposed to under the ACMPR, where you have extremely restrictive regulations around how to bring genetics and then develop those genetics. Our genetic library right now is composed of around 700 different cultivars, and of those, there's a number of which have actually been stabilized. One of the major issues under Canadian cannabis cultivation, in fact, maybe even worldwide, is a lack of stabilization of various cultivars. So you end up with F1s, and which are non-stable hybrids. What we have is some very stable phenotypes that have already been developed for this specific climate, and we'll be bringing those into the Canadian market in Q1, Q2 of next year.
Gotcha. So relatively soon. Well, another question, it actually goes stick on the same line of growing. I believe you use LEDs in your facilities. How do you combat what a lot of people are worried about, like light bleaching and those different elements? Because LEDs, they're all over. We've been to a few conferences recently, and LED lights are like every other expo or every other station. It's really, really coming into play, but it's still new to a lot of people. How are you adjusting to that, and how are you using them?
Well, in fact, when we built our first facility in Washington, we did not choose to go with LEDs. And the reason we chose not to go with them is they were not proven at the time. And it's the best technology we could find even 16 months ago. Still wasn't up to the standard we were looking for. So we worked with a double-ended HPS for our Washington facility. In Canada, we've managed to find I don't want to say which manufacturer, but they are the most efficient LED that you can find, and the Delta facility is entirely an LED-based facility. And things like light bleaching have more to do with managing your climate properly, understanding the spacing between your canopy height and your actual light sources. So as long as you've designed your workflows properly and design the cultivation space properly, you shouldn't encounter those issues.
Well, that's good to hear, because that's one element that I think investors really need to start looking into. When it comes to all these cannabis stocks, there's a lot of cannabis stocks in the market right now for people. A much, much different atmosphere than it was just a year ago, especially what it was 2 or 3 years ago. But one of the elements you really need to look into if you're going to have an investment in a company is how are they growing? Where are they growing? You know, these certain questions I don't think people really asked them before. They always asked about capacity, how many kilograms. They never asked, okay, where are they going to sell it? Or who's the grower? These are important questions. And our investors, when asking what they want to do, they're really, really interested in your growing methods, which is nice to see, because another question here is, will you be selling your proprietary living soil or compost as like a third party? And living soil in itself, if people don't understand what that is, I actually have a good friend of mine who's a part of our community who has a Tilo Organic soil company. And I'm starting to hear from a lot of different growers the benefits of using a living soil opposed to your normal soil, and you feed it with so many different additives and all of that. You really get a nice trichome, the trichomes that come out of it, the flavors, the tastes. So I didn't know that you were doing living soil to begin with, but on that question, are you planning on selling that living soil, or is that just for what you're doing?
Well, we've certainly been approached by a number of LPs to do that, to consult with them for organic programs, but it's not something we're contemplating doing. We believe that 2019 really is going to be the year of execution for licensed producers, and there's going to be a massive shakeout this year. And it's been difficult, I think, for investors to tell who is an operator and who's a promoter. And this is the year when people have to deliver on the promises that they've been making. So do you have the experience of growing cannabis for the last 15, 20 years? Have you built the right kind of team around you to not just deliver on the CPG branding side, but to truly grow an extremely high quality product at a cost base that's going to be competitive long term? This is the year you're going to find out that a lot of operators, I don't believe, have those teams in place. We're focused on being operators. We're focused on building high quality, growing high quality product. And the organic program that we've been developing over the last 7 or 8 years is not something that we want to be putting out to our competitors right now. That's something we want to keep very tightly guarded and close in-house. That's going to be one of the big competitive advantages we have moving forward.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there. I think there's going to be a big shakeout. And I think a lot of the companies, when you really start looking into them, there was a lot of sizzle, not so much steak, to use an old cliche. But yeah, no, it's really interesting hearing these different elements, but why don't we switch away from the growing side of things and go into the investment side of things? You're currently a publicly traded company. What's your ticker, and where can people find you?
We're on the Canadian Stock Exchange under ROMJ. We chose the list there because of our U.S. asset exposure. We're very excited about the Canadian opportunity. We think that's going to be tremendous, especially the global export opportunity that comes along with that. But we do believe that brand development in markets like California, where you're able to market in a much different way than you are in a place like Canada, is critical to our long-term organic branding strategy.
Yeah, and when it comes to the share structure, so we're going right after the investors here with these questions. How many shares do you have on standing, and does management have a large hold of those shares?
We have about 37 million shares outstanding right now. Fully diluted, it's 44. If all those warrants, but the average price for the warrant exercise was $3.15. Management has quite a large position with nearly 60% between management and large insiders.
Very nice. So $3.15. What are you currently trading at the moment?
We're fairly thinly traded right now, and the market's quite volatile. So it depends on the day you ask me that.
No kidding.
I don't check the stocks every day. We really are focused on being operators in the space.
Yeah.
We move up and down with the market volatility. For us, it's really stay focused, deliver on the actual business plan, and deliver cash flows to investors. That's the way these companies are going to be judged long term. The hype is going to go away, and the question is going to be who's delivering cash flows, who's growing. This is a consumer product. And when consumers, are faced with a truly high quality product married to a brand truth, you're going to end up developing long-term customers. Fancy business plans and decks that don't tie to reality, those are going to be pushed by the wayside in the very near future.
Yeah, I agree with that point actually, and it's funny you said depends on what day, depends on what hour. It's amazing the volatility that we're seeing. We just saw two incredibly red days in a row, and then I looked this morning and everything's up 15%, 10%. It's volatility like this. I think people are going, especially newer investors, don't realize this isn't quite normal compared to just your normal stock exchange. So in a couple of years, when cannabis companies, all that crazy hype is gone, and now we've turned into show the numbers, because the hype is there for a reason. Some of these companies are going to make a lot of money, but I think that speculation and the hype around the speculation is really drastically cutting off. And now, just like we've alluded to a couple of times now, people are looking for, is this company actually a sustainable company that I want to invest in, and what's their plan? So it's been really interesting getting a moment to talk to you about that, as Rubicon is one that I'm looking to a little bit recently, but this is a nice part of exposure for me as well. I'm learning about your company.
Well, the consumer demand is unquestionable. Looking at any developing or mature market, even markets like Colorado that continue to grow year after year, after being around for over a decade, you start extrapolating those numbers into the Canadian marketplace. This is a consumer good. There's going to be a tremendous demand for it. Question is, who's truly going to be able to supply that demand in the marketplace right now? And so from an investor's perspective for us, we need to execute and deliver on our promises. And I think we're trading undervalued, which of course every CEO of any company is going to say. But what we are waiting for right now is a licensing event, which we expect to be imminent. We've been under review for the last 3 months with our video evidence, and had indications from Health Canada that they're expecting to license us any day now. So on that basis, I think you've got truly an opportunity to get in at as low a discount as you're going to get in this company in the foreseeable future.
Well, I appreciate it very much, the information, the time that you've taken with us. If you want to plug your company and ticker one more time, possibly website, where can people find you?
You can find us at RubiconOrganics.com. Our ticker symbol is ROMJ, and we are focused on super premium organic cannabis brands.
Perfect. Well, appreciate your time this afternoon/morning. We'll speak again soon and see what the progress that you're making, and good luck with the Health Canada licensing coming up.
Thanks very much, and thanks for having me on.